Jalasi, welcome, bienvenue. Thank you so much for joining us for this workforce update, Where We Are Now. My name is Jennifer Tufts, and I'm the CEO of the Valley Regional Enterprise Network. Before we begin, we acknowledge that we work in Mi'kma'ki, the unceded territory and ancestral homeland of the Mi'kmaq Nation. Our relationship is based on a series of peace and friendship treaties between the Mi'kmaq Nation and the Crown dating back to 1725. In Nova Scotia, that we recognize that we are all treaty people. Next slide, please. Thank you. For those of you who don't know about us, we are the Regional Economic Development Organization for the Annapolis Valley region, and we are one of 7 regional enterprise networks throughout the province of Nova Scotia. All RENs support local business and rural economic development, and we do this by delivering leadership in regional economic development, connecting local businesses, universities, First Nations, and community leaders and other organizations. And we do this by fostering regional collaboration, not just within our regions, but also amongst levels of government, post-secondary institutions, business and support organizations, and even amongst all of the regional enterprise networks. We work to support new business, industry, and investments, and we work to attract and retain skilled newcomers. As I mentioned, we deliver leadership in regional economic development, and we do so outside of HRM. So we deliver rural economic development, which is an enormous mandate, but the success of the province depends on it. We have teams that are working on the ground with businesses and sector groups, and we have strong regional collaboration, not just within our regions, as I mentioned, but amongst all of the RENs and provincial departments, crown corporations, etc. We have strong communication with our municipal and First Nation partners because we are a shared service within our communities. And we act on behalf of the region as a backbone organization. And we do so with highly experienced staff and board that are working on behalf of our partners. We are currently in year 2 of our strategic plan, and we work in 4 key strategic pillar areas: business development, workforce development, sector development, and regional development. Focusing on the workforce pillar, I wanted to share some of the activities we are working on. Rochelle will talk about this a little bit further, but we have developed and are beginning to implement a regional workforce development strategy, and we have created a workforce alliance made up of workforce support response team members and workforce support organizations throughout our ecosystem here in the region. We have a connector program, which Kyle will speak to in a moment, but it is a program for newcomers and recent graduates to be matched with business and community leaders to build their professional networks. We have been working on regional marketing for a number of years now in partnership with the Annapolis Valley Chamber of Commerce to promote the region to the skills gaps needed. And we do this by using the data that we have collected through the regional workforce development strategy. And we are currently in market right now to attract healthcare workers. We have also partnered with the Attraction and Engagement Division of Labor Skills and Immigration, and we're able to attend an immigration fair in November called Destination Canada in Paris, France, and Rabat, Morocco, where we were able to promote job opportunities from job employers in our region, and as well as promote the region. And we're very much looking forward to continuing that partnership with them into the future to attend more events. We know there are a number of compounding external factors to workforce, the biggest being housing, which is impacting workforce attraction efforts. While housing is out of our scope, we are eagerly awaiting the results of the province's housing needs assessment for all of the municipalities in the province. So now I'm going to turn it over to Rochelle.
Thank you, Jennifer. And so just to provide an overview of what you can expect from today's recorded webinar, for our Annapolis Valley Workforce Update, Where We Are Now, my colleague, Workforce Coordinator Lynn Silver, will provide an update on job statistics from an employer demand side perspective. I will speak to the Valley REN and the regional partners work in towards workforce prosperity, Regional Workforce Development Strategy. And my colleague Kyle Walsh, the Connector Program Coordinator, will speak to how that program is helping to retain talent within the region. We have a guest with us, Emily Kennedy, who is coordinator of the Taking Care of the Valley project with Peer Labs, and she'll tell more about how that project is poised to give positive impact to the region's workforce.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us for the workforce update. So as you know, the title is Where We Are Now. In order to understand where we are now, we have to look at how we've gotten here. So I know in front of you, it looks like a kind of a chaotic mess with all these issues that are colliding and forming a new workforce reality. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is a mess, but there's hope. So we'll follow along in this and you'll see where I'm kind of taking you. So as we look at our new workforce situation, you have to realize that things that we had counted on previously, known pathways, they've been shaken up. Some of them have disappeared entirely. Some of them are greatly altered. And when that happens, of course, it's difficult to navigate. So it's not, it's not unusual to feel frustrated, to feel scared with all this new reality. It just hasn't been mapped before. The pandemic, I know, has been, well, it's been blamed for a lot of things, but it certainly worked to highlight and compound a lot of these issues that we were, in all fairness, dealing with prior to the landscape. The results, however, as we, are navigating our way through this, we've dealt with labor issues, hiring challenges. We have stressed employers, stressed employees, their negative effects on service quality, as well as operational flow and function. So this in front of you is not an exaggeration. It's not an overstatement, but I know that it feels very overwhelming. So next slide, Rochelle, please. Okay, so where we are now, this is a very recent release from the Finance and Treasury Board of the Province of Nova Scotia. Just, I think, February 10th, this came out. So what it's giving you here is a good overview. So it's January 2023, December, or back to December 2022. So kind of the past year. Now, in a nutshell, what's happened? More people, so more labor force are employed, both in full and part-time work. The size, actually, the good news, the size of the labor force has increased, but, and there's always a but, the number of jobs have increased more rapidly than the labor force did. So we gained some on the playing field, but then somebody went and changed the playing field. So it's kind of the good with the bad. We are experiencing, this is a point of interest, the lowest unemployment rate that we've had since 1976. And just, I think last week too in the news, economists were kind of scratching their heads saying, this current situation, this reality, is not matching up with our checklist that we have for what's called a recession. So where we are now, the phrase I heard last week as well was, it's the new not normal. So this is what we're dealing with. You can take a look. I'm not going to go over this slide entirely, but it's all there, and it can be, of course, sent out to you. So we're going to go from kind of a provincial view to the next slide, Rochelle, please, which is giving us a really localized view of where we are now in the Annapolis Valley. So our employment situation in our own backyard, to dig into this a little bit, we utilized Vicinity Jobs. This is a REN database tracking tool that can, point out things like, industry, skills, wages, locations. So what you're looking at is an actual report, and it pulled information, its postings by occupation category. So you can see the different occupations, the numbers that were posted, and two, with the comparison between the years 2022 in green and 2020 in gray, it generates a picture of current job postings versus our postings during kind of that pandemic period. So you can start to see, you know, a bit of a rebound. It's hard to make it accurate because, as someone said, there's the pre-period, there's the during period of the pandemic, and then these, you know, emergent period. But right now, I think what we need to focus on is current. This is a really good tool if employers need to reach out for certain information. So you can get information based on industry, based on skill, wages, various locations in the valley as to where the jobs are being posted. You can check into the NOC codes, which are the National Occupation Classifications, versus the NACE code, which is North American, I think it's Industry System, Classification System. So these are a few of the parameters that we have access to. Now, depending on your interest and your motivation and how you read statistics, you can gain a lot of insight into business opportunities, areas of sustainability, growth, decline, high demand skills, high demand jobs. What are we looking at for required education and training? Maybe you can make some inferences around support services. For instance, jobs, people, housing, transportation, there's all opportunities in there. There's need in there. Just a quick view of this, you'll notice there's significant current growth in sales and service, health, business and finance and trades, and slight declines in the natural resources, the agriculture area, areas of education, law, community, and government occupations. So there is a quick poll for you to take. No, Michelle, are we doing the poll right now?
We're going to skip the poll.
Okay, we're going to skip the poll. So then we're on to the next slide, which we're not going to skip. So out of that deliberately chaotic graphic that I, you know, tried to scare you with at the beginning, what I wanted to leave you with was a nice, calm, well-organized graphic of the Annapolis Valley regional workforce ecosystem. And why is that important? I think because of the situation we are in currently, we know business is stressed. We know it feels overwhelming. What you get from this picture is a really good overview of where our workforce, current workforce and future workforce is coming from. There is definitely hope when I look at this graphic. I can see in here the organizations, the business, the industries that collaborate, that contribute individually, that contribute as a group. And it's all coming together to really solidify a strong workforce here in the Valley. So we look at our educational institutions, secondary, post-secondary, community-based organizations, private colleges. We've got a workforce pipeline there. Employment support services, they are very good at addressing instant kind of hiring needs and I guess quicker workforce support. So Community Inc., PeopleWorks, Vanstat, there are supported employment programs. Another very strong pipeline is employment support services. So YReach, with iSANS, now they're helping our newcomers with settlement, language, cultural orientation. The business support services, another really great area to turn when you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, need some problem solving. You've got help through different government departments, chambers, CBDC, business incubator spaces, sector councils, and of course, the REN. And finally, industries and businesses themselves are a great source of grooming really future workforce as they guide them along through pathways. They can take more workers in at entry level. So it all works together. There is calm within the chaos. And I hope that seeing this enables you to kind of feel more supported, more secure, and certainly more inclined to reach out to the Valley Wren. Thanks, Rochelle.
So this slide shows a few of the people that Lynn had mentioned that are part of the Annapolis Valley workforce ecosystem. To keep networks connected and updated on changes in programming and business operations after we were all put in lockdown and the global pandemic was declared, the Valley Regional Enterprise Network organized an economic recovery task force, which began meeting in May of 2020 and continues to meet today. The Workforce Supports Response Team is one of the teams that's part of that task force. Knowing that economists had long warned about looming workforce shortage due to aging population, also understanding that there were jobs going unfilled and that we were hearing from employers in certain sectors requesting support to meet their hiring demand. The Valley Wren, on hearing and collecting all of that feedback, the Valley Wren began to look for ways to better service employers and raise awareness about the job opportunities in the Annapolis Valley. In January 2020, the Valley Wren held a facilitated session of stakeholders within the regional workforce ecosystem to get their feedback on the need for a workforce development strategy for the Annapolis Valley. Over 40 representatives participated on that stormy January day, and a steering committee was formed to assist in the creation of a regional workforce development strategy. The Valley Wren was ready to go to RFP when we were all forced into lockdown. Efforts were paused for the strategy, but it did go forward. And towards workforce prosperity, the Annapolis Valley's Regional Workforce Development Strategy was delivered. A copy of this strategy is available on the Valley Wren's website. So within the strategy, there are 4 pillars of focus for implementation and activity. Pillar number 1 being to strengthen the foundation, support and enhance partnerships and collaboration among stakeholders. Pillar 2, invest in human capital, establish an employer-driven, competency-based career pathway system for the region, increase opportunities for youth, immigrants, African Nova Scotians, First Nations, Indigenous, other persons of colors, and of course, persons who have been marginalized or left out of the workforce, and thinking specifically of individuals with disabilities. We need to advocate for job quality and a favorable work environment for all. In Pillar 3, enhance employer connections. We need to ensure local businesses have access to the talent they need. We need to engage with businesses to raise awareness and connect them to existing supports. And that, of course, requires ongoing communication into the businesses and industries within the region. Goal 4, secure workforce prosperity vision. Align with and build the region's economic development and innovation agenda. Refocus workforce support services towards long-term career advancement. Incorporate reconciliation and inclusion principles into the social and economic fabric of the region. A workforce alliance consisting of leadership from multiple organizations has been formed to implement this strategy. They will continuously review the strategy to ensure the actions within it are responsive to the needs of the region. This is not a full list of all the organizations that support businesses on both the supply and demand side. But these organizations certainly can provide employers with programming and support pertaining to workforce. We do have a list of these organizations, and anyone can reach out to the Wren to be contacted into the network. So the Wren works to remain connected and networked in so that we can save businesses time to get them the right supports that they need. One thing that we're really hoping that businesses within the Annapolis Valley will look to is a provincial dashboard for labor market information. The dashboard's been created by the Association of Industry Sector Councils. Last year, they launched their first Workforce Insight Survey every sector council within the province pushed this out to their membership, and the Valley Wren helped to push the word out about the survey to all businesses within our region. In order for the dashboard to have the best data so that all of us who touch the industry and can provide service can make the best informed decisions on service delivery, we need more uptake in response for the survey. So we will continue when the survey is open to encourage businesses here to complete the survey. There's a quick snapshot of a page of the dashboard, which shows that really the low response rate that we've had. So we really need to hear from businesses so that we can provide the very best service. Now, the Valley Wren obviously is sort of the facilitator of networks and remains highly connected in the region. But what are we doing within the strategy ourselves? So certainly the Valley Wren, as part of its core service delivery and a Business Now service, we implement what's called the Business Retention and Expansion Tool. So this is a method of reaching out to businesses, hearing from them, collecting information back to enable us to be more responsive. And so certainly through that BRE program, that gives us the ability to learn from businesses and know their needs. We also do a lot of partnering to engage businesses. During Small Business Week, we partnered with both chambers serving the Annapolis Valley, the Avon Chamber and the Annapolis Valley Chamber of Commerce. And we also partnered with all of the Nova Scotia work centers within the Annapolis Valley. And we did that to deliver a panel for employers to talk to actually local businesses that are in HR supports and talent recruitment, to have a back and forth on the new and changing practices for hiring and retaining talent today. We also offer programming that will help to upskill talent in the region and also to retain them. So in the upskilling piece, we have the Annapolis Valley Continuous Improvement Program, which really will help businesses and industry understand their processes. In particular, when you know your processes, you can better allocate talent. You can know when there's certain pieces that could be digitized or automated. And certainly now is a time where every business needs to be looking at how they can thrive in a world where there is a lower access to talent. We also partnered with local manufacturers and NSCC to develop the Contemporary Leadership in Manufacturing program. This is really specifically about upskilling. As we'd heard from the manufacturing sector that they are expected to lose a lot of highly trained and knowledgeable staff due to retirement. So Contemporary Leadership in Manufacturing will help to take some of their existing staff, upskill them to move into higher managerial roles. And on the connected piece, the Valley Wren, like all Wrens in the province, are really happy to have a connector program. This is a national program, and my colleague, Kyle Walsh, will speak to how the connector program is helping businesses in the retention field.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. I'm the connector coordinator, Kyle Walsh. And like the current post says, it's kind of 3 simple steps. If you go to the next slide, I'll show you the main core piece of what the connector program is all about, and it's all about the connectee. So a connectee is somebody who wants to meet new people in the area. So to be a connectee, you need to be a newcomer, a recent grad, or soon to be grad. And you really want to stay in the area. You want to feel more connected. You want to get insights into kind of local jobs, what the economy is like in those areas, and that type of thing. So once you come to me as a connectee, I'll then introduce you to a connector. And a connector is a working professional who's extremely well connected in the local area. So it could be somebody involved in community groups, someone in politics, a business owner, someone who's really seen as a local leader in the local area. Once the connectee meets, I'll usually find a connector who is someone related or job related or similar paths in life. And then you meet with them, and then they introduce you to 3 more people in the area. This then grows your, who you know, your local reach. You really start to feel more connected. Next slide, please. So there are a few benefits that seem to be popping up with trends over the last few years. As you can see, it's been a really national program since 2009, started in Halifax. And since 2018, I would say it's really taken off across the area, the country. And there's about 34 communities across the country. So since then, there's been kind of 2 main benefits and a third, which I'll hit. The connectees, which, like I said, is the core piece of the program. They really get to meet professional contacts. They gain meaningful employment. We're not a job finding service, but jobs do tend to come out of conversations and who you know. So there's really a benefit there. Another key one is businesses get kind of the first knack at pre-qualified skilled labor. So students coming out of Acadia or NSCC, they really kind of get that first knack of who's coming, what's down the pipeline, what do they need to be ready for, and it's kind of a cool opportunity that way. And a third benefit that's slowly starting to kind of take approach across the country is the regions. So we, the Valley, gets to retain the talent. People feel more connected. They don't want to leave. But bigger employers such as, manufacturers are using the Connector program to help people become familiar with the area so they feel more connected. Someone moves from a bigger city, from a day across the world, they move to a smaller rural community. They might not feel as connected. They don't know kind of what to do. So they reach out to the Connector program, they meet a connector, and they feel safe in the community. So that's the Connector program. Feel free to reach out anytime. Welcome to the chat. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Emily Kennedy, and I work with Pure Labs. And specific to today's webinar, I'm going to talk about the Taking Care of the Valley project. So next slide. So just to give you a brief summary of what this project is all about, there are 2 different focuses. But it's predominantly about the impact of caregiving responsibilities on working women throughout the Annapolis Valley and how they are balancing their work life with those caregiving responsibilities when they're not working. We are also focusing on the aspect of employers, so how these caregiving needs impact staffing and just daily operations. We're looking at caregiving from a childcare perspective, but also maybe they're looking after an elderly parent, a partner, a combination of those, and also they may need to acquire respite services as well. We're also looking at it as, or trying to reach caregivers who work outside of that traditional work week, which is that Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And our goal with all of this research is not just to understand the challenges that these women and employers face in terms of caregiving challenges, but also to generate some ideas that we can eventually test in the hopes of having a larger impact long term. And the way we're doing this, at least within the context of today, is to learn from businesses across the valley to understand their experiences with caregiving challenges. And we're also very fortunate to be partnered with the Valley Red on this project as well. We are led by a steering committee that is comprised of 8 women who are situated across the valley and all have varying degrees of experience from both the caregiver side, but also the employer side as well. Next slide, please. So we are actively looking for small business owners or managers to participate in the employer side of this research project. If that's you or you know of somebody who might fit the scope of this research, please have them reach out to us or reach out to us yourself. There's 3 ways that you can learn more or express interest, which would be first, help us reach you so you can connect with any of our Valley Wren friends who will happily get you in touch with us. You can also just give us a call. Our Taking Care of the Valley phone number is 1-844-217-0828. And we also have a website, tcv.peerlabs.ca, which houses general information about the project, as well as ways that you can connect with us if you're interested in participating. So yeah, those are 3 ways that you can get in touch with us. Next slide, please. And that's it for me for Taking Care of the Valley. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much, everyone. That does conclude our presentations. We're going to show all of our contact information on the screen. So please reach out to any of us. This is the contact information for every presenter today. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, you want to know more, or we're so happy to chat. We have dedicated staff and who are passionate about the work that we're doing. So please reach out and connect with us. And again, thank you so much for joining us today. We do appreciate your time and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care, everyone.